Hello everybody, it's Larry Koch back at you from Brainy Marketing, aka Le Brainy. Today we're going to do a topic which is very close to my heart, and we're actually going to get very nerdy today. So I've got my little nerdy hat here, which I'm going to pop on. I've even got the little umbrella. That's because we're going to get deep and diving into the world of marketing terminology. And if you are a business owner or you are a marketing manager and you're growing a team, you're about to work with an agency, you're about to work with a freelancer, I'm going to give you several key terms here. I'm going to put them on the over here in the space. If you don't know what these terms are, you really need to pay attention to this video and watch the whole thing, because these are the cornerstone. This is the holy grail. You have to know this Bible, this lexicon, if you're going to have effective digital advertising, digital marketing interactions with a team or external service providers. So that's what we'll be covering today. And as always, as you know, I give you this shot of marketing knowledge over like 10 minutes, at least once a week. And to prove that, I've actually got my marketing battery right here. So as you can see, this is the marketing battery. And every morning, basically, I sort of get in here around 8:39 in the morning, start my work, do a few videos. And to get myself started in the morning, I like to get a little bit of a pay-per-click and a little bit of social media, and I like to just okay, just kidding. I do not actually electrify myself in any way, but I do give pretty
electrifying news.
So anyway, fun aside, let's just jump into these terms because I think you're gonna really benefit. So first one, which I've covered many times on this video, is customer lifetime value. So on this channel, you'll find at least 4 videos on that. This is the real cornerstone of any marketing discussion. And it's something that's so poorly understood by almost every business owner that I talk to, and even most marketers that I talk to. But listen, guys, if you don't know what the value of a customer is to you, then you have no idea what you should be spending to acquire a customer online or from any type of marketing that you're doing, okay? And what I mean by customer lifetime value is the average gross margin you make from the average customer over the lifetime of you knowing that customer, right? So if your customers tend to stick around for 3 years and they pay you, they buy £100 worth of stuff every quarter, well then you need to look at the margin of that multiplied by the number of months they stay with you. And that is your customer lifetime value. Because think about it, if you're going to an agency or you're asking your team to get you customers for £50 when actually you haven't accounted for the fact that most of your customers repeat buy for several years, then you've completely undersold the situation, because you're asking people to spend such a limited amount of money in a competitive advertising space to get you customers, when actually those customers are worth a hell of a lot more than that small piece of money you're using to acquire them. And it also works vice versa. If you're just sitting there thinking, hey, look, I've got, I get 2K a month from my average client. Well, yeah, if you give me a client for £1,000, that's great. If your clients only stick around for 6 months and you're not making much margin on those projects anyway because you've got huge costs for delivering them, then actually that £1,000 may be way too much and may be killing all of your profitability. So you see how important it is to really do the sums on the margin you're making over a lifetime, as opposed to just what they buy for the first month, or just leaving it to chance. And once you have this number, you can then, all other conversations can flow, all other metrics will make sense. So check out my other videos if that wasn't inspiration enough. Next one is cost per conversion, or cost per acquisition, CAC, as it's most commonly known in sort of e-commerce circles. But so cost per conversion, or CAC, is basically the cost it's taken you to get someone to buy or to sign on the dotted line. So it's easy enough to imagine what this is like on e-commerce. You spend loads of advertising money, you get customers to buy stuff on your e-commerce site. How much on average is it costing you to get someone to buy that first basket of goods, right? It's a bit more difficult for B2B, because, and I'll get into how B2B is usually measured, like the sort of normal way that it's measured by agencies and teams. But cost per acquisition, because you have a sales cycle, usually quite a long sales cycle, you might get someone who's interested, and then, there's only a certain percentage of those that you actually close as clients, which may be 6 months down the line, maybe 3 months, we don't know. So what most agencies and freelancers and teams do is they focus on cost per lead, which is my next one that I want to show you. So cost per lead is just, I spent a whole bunch of money on advertising, and this many people downloaded my ebook, this many people filled out my contact me form, this many people requested a demo, etc., etc. So these aren't clients yet, but they are leads. So it's your cost per lead. And the reason is you'll have a certain win rate attached to those leads. And the problem is a lot of service providers and teams don't want to go off cost per acquisition because they can't trust you to win all of those deals. So if you say I'm targeting you with a certain cost per acquisition or cost per conversion, well, I would say to you, well, how do I know that your team is actually going to deliver a certain win rate? You know, if you're only going to convert 10% of all deals, then how do I know, like what if it ends up being 5% or 0%? Then basically I'm going to look like I'm not doing my job properly, right? So I would rather focus on cost per lead and not get into a discussion of who can and can't do the sales job properly. So that's the reason why we have cost per lead for B2B as the main one that people use. Of course, the holy grail is to link the CRM to the advertising so that you can track someone from an advertising campaign through the CRM to when they actually close at the end of the pipeline, when they actually close as a deal, then you can say, hey, this revenue was attributed to the advertising, and that would be cost per acquisition. And that could be 6 months down the line, it closes in the CRM and the loop is completely closed. So when you've got your tracking done properly, it goes into the CRM. So you can track cost per acquisition with B2B if you've got a sophisticated system. If you don't yet, you're going to have to settle for CPL, and it's going to be good enough for most companies in general. So moving on from that, let's go back onto the online world. Now, one for you guys that's really important is average order value. And sometimes marketing managers don't take this seriously enough. Average order value is like the average basket that somebody buys on your site. And you want to see this number tracking upwards, and you should be doing everything you can on your e-commerce site, on your product pages, on your deals, on your bundling, to get people to spend more. So that's why, like, if you give the example of Vistaprint, which does like stationery for businesses, but they're huge and they do everything from stationery, like corporate jerseys, corporate business cards, glasses, propeller hats, whatever, they do it, okay? And so you type into Google, business cards, you come onto their site, you do business cards, and before you know it, they've upsold you with all these tricky gimmicks, coming into the basket, flying in from the left and the right. And before you know it, you've bought stencils, you've bought water bottles, you've bought, branded hockey sticks, whatever. And so instead of spending £10 on business cards, you've now spent, £300 worth of stuff. And what does that mean? If the average order value goes up, that means you can bid a hell of a lot higher for the same keywords as your competitors who don't aggressively bundle at the checkout process, right? So average order value needs to be monitored by you. It makes you much more competitive for those keywords because it's not just the price of the product that the person was searching for, but it's actually a whole bundle. If you leave consumers to it, they search for business cards, they see your business cards, they buy your business cards. End of story. You've got to push them to buy more stuff to inflate that average order value, and you're going to be king of the roost when it comes to especially Google advertising. So, linked to that, now let's go on to social advertising. So the main one they use that marketers, and you'll hear marketers and freelancers and agents talk about, is CPM, or cost per mille, which is French for cost per thousand. It's an old advertising term, means cost per thousand impressions. Simply put, how much do I pay Facebook to show my ad to 1,000 people? It's a term that's easiest to use. So they use it for billboards and for TV as well. So let's say I run an ad on Facebook for laser eye therapy, and I give Facebook £100. That's going to be, let's say, 100,000 views of my ad. Okay, so that's what CPM stands for. It's really, really important because you also want to see that going down as you get more relevant. Then you get to click-through rate. So how many of those people that see my ad are actually going to click on it? So if you do your targeting properly, you get the people that have bad eyesight, somehow you find them on Facebook through the targeting, you show them ads on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. How many are actually going to click? So they're in a mood, they need to change their eyesight, they need to get laser eye therapy. How many are going to click on that? And you'll be lucky to get 3-4%. Most of the time it sits at around 1%. When you've got an optimized campaign, it gets up to like 2% and above. But when you're starting out, it might be only 0.5, 0.6. Okay? And that means that out of those 100,000, only 600, only 1,000 are heading over to my product page or my service page, or in this case, my laser therapy explanation, book a thing page, right? So that's the click-through rate. So you want to see that going up if your marketing team is doing well. And that's through better retargeting, better give Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn time and enough budget so that their algorithms and their AI can start working out who is clicking more on your ads, and they will. So that and a combination of you improving your targeting will see that measure increase. So that leads us to the cost per click. Cost per click is another one that's really, really important. That's just like, how much does it cost every time someone clicks on your ad? So that's different from click-through rate. So click-through rate would just be cost per click is usually used for like Google. So you just do how much does it cost every time someone clicks on my Google ad? So that can be like £1, £2, £3, whatever it is for your industry. You want to see that going down as time goes, because basically the more you learn about an audience, the more you take away the keywords that aren't relevant, cost per click should be going down. So if anyone's doing anything Google or search related, you should see cost per click coming down. You can also use the cost per click metric on Facebook and LinkedIn. And so rather than giving you a CPM figure, you can just ask them to convert all of that, like, to forecast the click-through rate and everything, and to give you basically a cost per click. So if 10 people out of 1,000 are clicking, then and you're paying £10 for that 1,000, then you've got a £1 cost per click. You see how that works? It's basically just all linked together. So however you want to do it on Facebook or LinkedIn that works for you, you can. So that's it. That's basically the main terms. The two that I want to just finish with are return on ad spend and return on investment. And basically return on ad spend is just you add up all the ad spend across all your marketing and you divide that by the amount of revenue you got in terms of, so if you got like 100,000 in revenue from your ads and you spent 10,000 on ads, then it's basically you've got a 10 times return on ad spend. Return on investment is when you add up all the marketing spend, not just the advertising, but also the management fees. Most freelancers, most agencies, and certainly all employees cost a hell of a lot to keep around. So you want to factor in the cost that they take, including the office, the hats, whatever. You want to add all of that up and say, plus the ad spend, this is my marketing commitment, and how much did that get me? How much can I track back to the marketing team and their efforts? And that's going to be your return on investment. So you can see how unless you know all these numbers, you can't actually get to that return on investment figure. You need to know what your CLV is, you need to know what all your costs are, and you need to mathematically work out what it is that you are considering good. Great, so thanks for watching the video, guys. Can't wait to see you here again. If you enjoyed this sort of thing, please hit subscribe. And I know some of you have been watching these videos a lot now and quite regularly. So please, don't be shy. In the comments here, let me know, what would you like me to cover? Do you want me to do more funny videos? Do you want me to do more like parodies? Do you want me to start involving other people into these videos so I can do some kind of role playing? Or do you want me to just go laser focused on the data? You guys tell me what you want in the comment section below. And hopefully catch you for the next video. Check you then.